And welcome back to part 10 of Bloodborne. Oh, we've actually got a short video for once. The area of Bergenworth is quite short, so thankfully this video won't be another 20 to 30 minute stretch. Or actually a bit of a breeze through. These enemies can be a little bit of a prick though. That's the way I always deal with them. Once they do their jump attack, jump back, swing once, and they'll always try and counter attack. You can parry the counter attack with your gun. So just get their attention. I'm going to try it again here. And I've got the parry on him, but the other one grabs me, but that's just what happens, unfortunately. I heal up the last little bit just because I know that frenzy's going to cap out and take about 70 to 80% of my health. At this point I'm just trying to make bloody distance to these things so I can actually heal up safely. And they're fast, as you can see. There's also a summon there, but I'm not going to use it. If they're red like that, that means they're not that trustworthy. They can turn on you. Because members of the League, they have like... I can't remember, but it's like a chance, like a percentage chance that when they join, they won't join as a friendly. And when you get the Hunter, it's either the Hunter of Hunter rune or the League rune yourself, you can have that effect as well. It might be the Hunter of Hunter rune actually, now that I think about it. Because one of those two, they make it so when you join a mate, you can join as an invader sometimes by chance. Be careful up here because this enemy will try and do grab attacks, and all these like white mist attacks will try and freeze you in place to make the grab easier. And as you can see by spamming it, this enemy's annoying as all hell, so I just end up just going in there and things. There we go. Ooh, Arcane Lake. That, as the name implies, is resistance to arcane and magic-y stuff. That white light in the lake, like on the edge there, you can just barely see, that's where we need to go. And this bit I'm a bit more cautious because I remember just how much the last two gave me. Oh, that works out. Right, this enemy here, this giant meteor shooting lizard fuck knows vagina monster, this is the only one I'm aware of that's in the main game. In Chalices, expect to see these buggers all the time, because if you want Arcane Haze, these are a long way of getting them, because the only other way of getting Arcane Haze is to trade material for it. But, yeah, that enemy creeps me out. It's the only enemy that legitimately makes me go ugh when I see it, because it's not right. I can't put it into words, it's just not right to look at, it's disturbing. And so I'm kind of happy that's the only one you have to fight in the main game. I equip sedatives just in case I get grabbed by another frenzy enemy that I can quickly just use it. I don't think I do, but it's better to be safe than sorry. That's your shortcut. You can also open the other side of this Bergenworth building. And I say building, so I don't think it's a Bergenworth castle, and I want to say it's like Bergenworth School, but I don't know if they can call it I'm not sure. I know this was a place of learning, but I don't know if it was a school. Because I know there were students that took focus into learning insight here. This guy, NPC is one of the harder ones to deal with. I mean, the bloody Crow of Canehurst, the one you can fight in the end of Eileen's quest, will give you a lot more trouble than this. But she just has a lot of dastardly magic that can catch you out. And at this point I just sort of say fuck you and I do frame advantage to take her down. Oh no, she barely survived that. Oh come on, she's so close. There we go. Blue elixirs just make you invisible, which if you stand still, enemies won't notice you then. Well, there's a student uniform, it's kind of crap, but it's there. There's not much to say, 'cause this building's there's relatively empty. There's only like one more enemy here. There's the key, so you can get access to the balcony or the lunarium. Up here, there's one more enemy, and in that chest is a spell that will attach arcane to your weapon if you go in for arcane runs. Which, as stated several times before, I'm not in this run, but I want to show where most of the spells are anyway. The only one I know for a fact I'm gonna miss is the one in Nightmare Frontier, but that's just because I don't want to go back into Nightmare Frontier to get it. But that one's not an important spell. That just makes you look like a messenger so you can hide yourself. That's letting you know that about the Red Moon being your way to Murgo, which is when Murgo goes down, the main quest line of the game's pretty much done. Now, Master Willem here was pointing towards the edge of the lake. If you choose to kill him, he does drop an item. But Master Willem is the guy who originally started chasing insight, hence why the rune he gives you, ironically, is the eye, because of the insight resembling eyes in this game. When you fall off into this, you will start the boss fight. Because down here in the Moonside Lake is Rom. Rom is very weak to electricity, and the main threat with Rom isn't actually Rom itself, it's the spiders, because Rom himself will just try and get away from you and then use magic when he gets his distance from you, whilst the spider minions will just gang up on you and fuck you up quick. As you noticed with all the mini spiders and Rom, they have a rock solid head, so if you're attacking them head on, you're doing very little damage. So you've got to try and get to the side or the back of them. If you're far away, Rom will use magic that will spawn down meteors on top of you to try and hit you. If you stay too close for too long, he has a couple of AoEs, and most of them are pretty easy to tell. Like, he'll have some kind of animation or movement he'll do prior to it. Try and clean out some of the spiders. Most of these little spiders will die in 1 or 2 hits, especially if you have the bolt paper on. And then when there's enough down, go for it. Here's an AoE. You saw it lifted up so you could see it was building. And yeah, Rom is ridiculously weak to electricity, as you saw just how much its health dropped. But I'm healing up now because I'm relatively low. Here's the other thing, the arena is... I don't know where the boundary is for this arena. It feels like it's infinite, and it could be infinite for all I know. But that's the problem, is that Rom will spawn a certain distance away, and you can just lose Rom. That's the major problem with this fight. If that Rom goes too far away, Rom won't load in. Like, because of Bloodborne's loading thing, where to keep the game running smoothly, if things go too far away, they'll become invisible. So sometimes you can just lose Rom. As I just take meteorites to the face there. Oh, Rom's not the only boss that can use meteorites in the fight. There's my blood echoes, because I actually died in this fight. So Rom isn't the only boss that can use meteorites. The Living Failures, yeah, that's a boss name, in the DLC can also use meteorites. That's an AoE. At this point I'm getting a tad impatient, which is why I'm not doing the charged R2s. I'm just trying to get any hit I can in. Sometimes Rom will freak out like that, and it's just to stop you from being close. Unfortunately, the meteorites can't harm the spiders as well, because obviously he would have just wiped out a lot of his own there. You can actually fight Rom again in Chalice dungeons, and you'll know because these little Rom spiders that are floating around will be everywhere on the floor of the Chalice dungeons. As previously mentioned, I'm not going to be covering Chalice dungeon in this walkthrough because there's too much of a random element to it. And this game would become like several hundred parts long for me just to get through it all. Because the Chalice dungeons, if you're unaware, are essentially the roguelike aspects of this game. But you've got one fixed dungeon, and there's a whole host of fixed dungeons you have to get through to finish it and get your fight with Queen Yharnam, the true final boss. But there's so many root chalices that you'll have to grind through to get the materials you need, and root chalices are random every time you go through. The loot you find, the way the floor's laid out, bosses, everything is random. Anyway, Rom's dead. And all the spiders around will also die. And you also get King Coldblood 12 as well, so you can get some more blood echoes as well. Once Rom dies, you're looking for Queen Yharnam. And as you can see, I can't spot her anywhere. And that's because she, as previously mentioned, she's too far away. So she hasn't loaded in. So I'm going to see me wandering around like a loony for a couple seconds until there's some kind of hint as to where she is. I think I'll eventually just choose it. There she is. I said I hate that about this arena. Because Queen Yharnam always spawns in a fixed place, like dead in the centre. But that's too far away. And it's too far away by the end of the fight. And you can just lose her like that. But yeah, Queen Yharnam, this is the signal that the game's gone to the last phase of the game, the Red Moon, or the Blood Moon, as I think is more fitting. But then I only really call it Blood Moon to Terraria. And that crying is Murgo, which is our objective, because all the Great Ones are become visible, and to end the night, this nightmarish, monstrous night, Murgo has to go down. Oh, a bit of the loading screen made it through the loading. This is when you respawn. It takes you here when you come back, and now the door that this Amygdala was guarding is now open, so you can go to the Yargul Unseen Village. Which I quickly activate the lantern, just so then I can teleport here next time. But yeah, that's your little plot bit for this area. When Murgo goes down, it will end the night, and our quest, as far as Gurman is concerned, is finished. And I won't go any further than that because we haven't got further in the game for me to explain more. Well, although I have spoiled quite a bit of the game, but that bit I at least want to keep for when we actually get to the bits, then I have something to talk about when we get to the final boss.
Very well.
Anyway, I've lit the lantern, so now I'm going to level up a little bit, putting me up to level 60. Oh, we're doing alright. When I said, because level 80 is the level I feel you should be round about when you reach the final boss, so being level 60, I'm comfortable there.
Farewell, mate.
And if you're following along, look at what level you're. If you're below and you manage to keep up, more power to you. If you're above it, then there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. You might be a bit over leveled by the time you reach the final boss. I think I'm going to mess around with gems as well. Hopefully I'll remember I've got that 12 cold blood in my inventory. And the music in the background here has changed. When your insight goes above a certain level, the music changes and becomes this more somber version, which I prefer. And I wish, like, when you kill Murgo, all music for this area stops, and I wish it didn't, because it adds such a nice atmospheric layer to this area. Well, anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. So next time on Bloodborne, we're going to Yargul the Unseen Village. Until then, take care now.
Yeah.